Hi all, welcome back to more Labyrinth, playing the extended campaign, so this is my part 26. So the following day now, and I was about to start reading this comment out, but I just noticed I did put this into part 25 last night, so I had forgot about that. Um, it was regarding what Tim thought about advancing into the second deck. And I've got another thought on why I maybe thought how I thought about this, which whether it makes sense or not. Uh, this was interesting, right? So just a couple of what have I done there? Just a couple of comments. One from John, part 23. And it was talking about, and Tim picked up on it, and then a wee bit later I'd realised that about travelling the cell out of Egypt, and there was two cells there, and me all being confused about how do I deal with this. There's two cells, do I roll two dice here because the last one can't move out, and then eventually realising that the travel's either going to fail and go back to the track or succeed and go to there, so I only needed to roll one dice. But anyway. But John commented on this too, which looked like it was interesting at the time when I read it, I think. Even if there was no reason to be confused in this case, I'm sure that there's a rule somewhere. That's right, this is it. I mean, he's not pointing at a rule, but he says, I'm sure there's a rule somewhere mentioning simultaneous. That's the keyword I remember. I don't have access to the rules right now to double check. This rule states that whenever you do an operation with multiple targets, you have to select all your targets before rolling any die. All rolls are considered simultaneous, so a human player could not try something with a first cell and change his plans based on the second, on success or failure. Okay. See, this is a confusion a bit, like when you're playing two players. I'm not really sure about that. I know you can roll again. Well, actually, I thought you maybe could do that, but he's probably right with that, though. He's probably right that you've got to make all your choices, then roll the dice. But he does finish with, does this apply to the bot? Question mark. That's the part I'm not sure about. I've replied to that. Alright, no, sorry, that's just replying to the other things. But how would that situation there, if we've got two cells there, and we know, well now, hold on, it's different though, isn't it? If I wanted to move the two cells out there as the player, I'm not restricted by a rule that says you've got to leave the last cell in a not a recruit country, am I? So it's kind of different. It's sort of your choice there, eh? And obviously, yeah, I think you could see what my problem was. Well, there wasn't a problem, but if we needed to know what the result of the first die roll was before looking at the second, then it seemed rather awkward. I don't know. We'll leave that one for now and see if anything comes of it. Right, and yeah, and John also commented on. I don't know if I mentioned this last night or not. Sure, exactly how you would just reshuffle the discard to have a new deck to draw from if you're playing a standard multi-deck game. Yeah, and it's when I started thinking about the multi-deck game, just playing with the base game, and that's what you would do. And there's no mention about your discarding your hands and then just ending things. In my defence, I don't know. I think the reason I thought about it was in my previous playthrough. What was it happened? There was a lot of mistakes, and I can't remember. No, I don't think we didn't end up losing the game, like score wise. I just decided I was going to start again because it was right at the end of the deck. And when we went to, because I was playing a one deck game, we went to draw the cards for the last turn, and let's just say we needed 17 cards. There was only 15 cards left, and that's when that rule kicks in. I mean, it's whenever you need to draw a card. That's when you shuffle up and start the second deck. Now, let me hold things there though and leave this. Well, if it needs to be a question, I might just be able to work this out for myself. So let's just say we're playing a two or three deck game. More than a one deck game, but just with the base game. We're in that situation. We have to draw 17 cards for the next turn. There's only 15 cards available. We go to draw the 16th card, and then this rule triggers. Yeah, see, even here, if you were doing a two-deck game, you would draw the 15 cards, so you'd need 2 more cards. You'd shuffle up the discard pile, lapse in events, first plot, whatever, and then draw the extra 2 cards, wouldn't you? And carry on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's no question needs to be asked. I think, like I say, I'm not saying try to defend myself here. What happened was I decided at the end that this was just going to be a one deck game because I wanted to restart. When it's a one deck game, it says here, if it is the game end reshuffle, the game immediately ends. So in that case, you wouldn't get to play out the rest of your hands and finish the turn. If you're playing a one deck game and you go to draw 17 cards for the next turn, you can only draw 15, because that's what happened. I thought I was going to get an extra turn, and nobody seemed to comment on that and getting that bit wrong. And I think that's maybe what threw me, the fact that ended the game right there because I couldn't draw another card. But it's different here. If you're moving on to the second deck, you just shuffle it up and get going. Yeah, a bit of a daft one really from me again. So anyway, we know what we're doing now, so that's good. 1 second. Right, and I had a little thought overnight. Now, where are we? Well, we're still in the middle of setting things up. Now, I have shuffled, I think I left things last night, whether I showed you the whole deck. Now, that's been seeded in 2 halves. The bottom half of the deck contains 20 Civil War cards, and they've got them marked with a wee AK-47, and 40 random non-Civil War or Arab Spring cards. And then the top half is seeded with 20 of the Arab Spring cards, which is highlighted with it's a wee protester, isn't it? And 40 other random cards as well. So basically the first half of the game is going to do the Arab Spring stuff. The second half is going to move into Civil War and whatever. Well, hopefully I've got that right. I mean, it does say that the second deck, one deck using the Labyrinth Awakening cards as blended in the Arab Spring scenario. And when you look at the Arab Spring scenario, which is here, there's Arab Spring scenario, it tells you how to seed the deck. Like I said, there's 20 of these cards, 20 of these cards. And it explains it in there, which I think I went through the process all right. So we've got a bit more setting up to do, which I'll just get around to in a second. But I just thought I might mention this. I mean, I still think we're gonna lose here pretty soon. So then I started thinking, well, it's a shame. Just set up all this deck as well. That's what I was thinking about last night. I thought, why am I doing this? Because we're probably just about to lose the game. And then I started thinking, should I maybe just carry on, even if they do get to the 6 resources? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll accept defeat. I'm not fussy about winning or losing the game. I'd like to have tried, but I mean, so then I thought, why, if this goes up to 7 resources, why not carry on, just play on? And then I started thinking, well, now I brought this up way back at the beginning, probably not in this playthrough, but the previous one. And it was Tim, I think, had made the comment saying that this was really just for a 2-player game, because it says if both players agree. Well, it's a victory, an optional victory condition rule here. And this is in the Forever War section of the rules, but I'm pretty sure it'll be in the Labyrinth one as well. But, well, this is what we're playing, extended campaign, so it's just a continuation of here. So, could we get away with maybe just doing this? It says normal victory conditions rules apply, but optional. If both players agree at the beginning of the scenario, play can continue even after one player has achieved a level of victory, so the full game can be experienced. In this case, the victory is instead determined at the end of play, with the winner being the player who was able to complete the greatest victory of his 3 victory conditions at any point during play. So with the winner, right, okay. I didn't consider that very last sentence there. with the winner being the player who was able to complete the greatest variety of his 3 victory conditions at any point during play. We've got a problem with that though, because we get one of our victory conditions removed, don't we? So I initially thought that you wait to the end of the game and see how many victory conditions he's got, but that's not what that said there. It says throughout the game. So right now, if he hits 6 resources, then he's notched up 1 point basically, and there's 3 points available. Does it say what happens if you both end up with the same though? I mean, what if you both had... It doesn't really say, does it? It gives an example here. If the jihadist player is able to complete a successful WMD plot in the US, but not able to get 6 resources of Islamist rule or 15 countries of poor/Islamist at any point in the game, then he earns 1 point. If the US player is able to eliminate all jihadist cells, see, that's a condition that's not built in here, this whole game though, it's removed. And have a total of 12 resources as good and 15 countries as fair/good. At some point in the game, then he would have 3 points and win the game. Players may earn a maximum 1 point per condition, i.e. triggering 2 separate WMDs in the US only earns 1 point. A tie, a tie in the number of points at the end of the scenario would then default to the standard end of game victory conditions. The US wins if he has 2 times good resources as our Islamist rule. Yeah, we need double the amount of Islamist rules resources. So, but the problem with that is it means the US players only got access to 2 win conditions, isn't it? If we go back to this comes from 9.1, so I mean it does reference that, so I'm allowed to be using that. So yeah. Yeah, I mean they've got the bit where they don't need to be adjacent. And elimination of the last cell does not cause a US win. So that's a bit annoying then. So I could only get 2 points, whereas they can get 3. Well, I dare say I could still pod on. Couldn't I just chuck that rule in as well and have it that if I was able to get all the cells back to the track, that it scored me a point maybe? I don't know. I mean, the reason that's removed is because the bot's probably not built to panic about that if they happen to have 1 cell left out on the map, and it would probably need extra rules in the bot to like say, right, time to panic, we need to do something about this or the US player's going to win. I mean, well, but you could then take advantage of trying to put all the cells back on the track, couldn't you? Oh, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to find a way to carry the game on. Let's hope we get lucky in this next few moments. Probably going to find out in this part, if not the next part, if things slow down here a bit. I'm probably going to find out if they're going to hit 6 resources or not. I just like to play on, I think. I'll just play on. I'll chalk up a point for them. And maybe, okay, we only get access to 2 points, they're getting access to 3, since I'm wanting to do this. And if they happen to get the 3 throughout the game, then they're going to win. I've got no, even if I get the 2, I can't get a 3rd point to tie them. Why not just do that? Again, just to move the game on, let's see the new cards, let's see the new rules, and keep it going. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe let me know what you think. I might have already just moved on by the time I get your answer, but or if you think there's any other better solution here. The other options were just ending this game when it ends and then starting a game with a Labyrinth scenario. and whether you can do the Labyrinth and then move on to the Forever War, or maybe just do a scenario Labyrinth, Awakening, and then just do a separate scenario of the Forever War, I suppose. I mean, the only other option to it is go back to the start again and start off where I've already restarted, which I'd rather not do. Not because I wouldn't enjoy it, but it just feels like we're going over again, and maybe I'd make a better job of things though. But okay, let's move on and find out what exactly happens at the end here. So I've still got a bit of setup here to organise, haven't I? Regarding things. So let's just go through this. Right, can I lay this down somewhere? Maybe I could do it there. Hang on. Right, it's not ideal, but it's off to the side here a little. It was just to go through this. That's the events. That's a separate bit. But it was just to lay this down. So this is for the extended campaign game. Explains there about the 3 decks. So these bullets are relevant. Although I think we've dealt with the first one, haven't we? Both Mali and Nigeria begin the game as active countries, and players may operate in them normally from the beginning. Yeah, they're in play. They haven't had anything happen to them. Hopefully there's no blunders made there, because I almost forgot about Nigeria and that first attempt. So marked events continue from one deck to the next. Ignore the new normal rule. Right, so the new normal rule was that you're to just imagine that all things have happened. Hang on. Let's just see. Here's the new normal rule up the top here. It's in the Awakening rules. So it says, none of the card events from the base game of Labyrinth are in play at the start of the scenarios for Labyrinth Awakening. For example, although the Patriot Act has historically been passed enhancing travel restrictions to the United States, events such as these have become the new normal, giving the jihadists time to counter them. So we have to ignore that, and there is, I want to say, an exception somewhere. So we've got Leak in play, which is blocking wiretap. We've got Abu Sayyaf in play. I think that's only 2 events that we've got in play. So they stay in play. Marked events continue from one deck to the next, and then we ignore that rule that I just read out. Some jihadist personality cards, such as Bin Laden and Osama Bin Laden, make an appearance in multiple decks. If the card is removed by US play, it may appear again in its second instant and is assumed to be a rising new leader of comparable ability and focus. So it's explaining there that if we get, if Saddam's been captured or Bin Laden's been killed or whatever, then, and the card comes up again about Bin Laden, then it's just, you've just to imagine it as a new leader that's taken over. Just for game purposes, because the actual name's there, yeah, that's fine. The Operation Neptune Spear and unconfirmed cards may be used to retrieve any unassociated jihadist personality card. Any unassociated jihadist personality card from either deck, not just those named on the cards. Okay, I might need to come back to that one. I'm not quite sure I've obviously not seen the cards, so. Right, and then the next one is, since there are no reshuffles after the game commences, the discard deck will become quite large, and all of those cards are available to be retrieved by events such as oil price spike. Right, and I've got a separate, here's the cards here. So this is the new Labyrinth deck. This will be the discard pile for the Awakening deck. This will be the discard pile for them. I'll put the removed cards up behind it. These are removed from the base game, but this is a discard pile from the base game that it's going to be a headache, but if we get an oil price spike, then we're going to have to look through them all. Yeah. So that's that. And then this is the bit that does some things, doesn't it? So the Labyrinth Awakening expansion rules, play raid card, and end the turn sequence commence with the first card draw from deck 2, which we're about to do. We're about to draw 2 cards from deck 2 for the bot. And yeah, I've got a different thought on. I'm not sure how we should deal with that, but we'll come back. We'll come to that in a minute. At that moment, place an awakening marker in Algeria, Tunisia. Okay. And if possible, otherwise in random Muslim country. Right, why would it not be possible? I suppose if Algeria, Tunisia was Islamist rule were good, maybe. Because I don't think they have them when they're like that state. Anyway, Algeria, Tunisia is fine. So, was it awakening marker? Place an awakening marker on Algeria, Tunisia, if possible, otherwise in a random Muslim country. And test if needed. Well, we are going to have to test it. If possible, I think there's certain conditions when these would be removed or wouldn't be placeable in the country, but they are. So it says in the rules that awakening markers get placed at the bottom left, reaction markers get placed at the bottom right. And I was saying, I think, in the previous part that I've been sort of weighing things out the other way about, like with cells on the left and troops on the right. I'm going to change that because that's going to confuse things. I mean, I suppose I could change my way of thinking that way, but let's do it that way because it says it in the rules, alright? So, and then we need to test Libya. Not Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, sorry. Right, so, and obviously this is just an initial test. So it'll be neutral. So 1 and 4 poor. Oh, we got 6, that's good. So it's a fair country. Algeria, Tunisia, I'll be fair neutral. Right, and while we're there, should we just notch that up one? I'll put that underneath because I get the feeling this is going to move. I suppose just quickly glance. I've got 5 fair good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and then poor Islamist rule, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's showing 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the 2 Islamist rules 10. Yeah, okay, I think that's right. So coming back here again, what else? What's next? A test if needed. Also places Syria and Iran, special case Muslim country maps, and the off-map forces box on the board. I've got the off-map forces box here. So that looks like a decent enough space to put it in. It's just below the cells, but that's fine. And I think troops go in there through events, and obviously it's bad because they're not on the troops track and they maybe might reduce the amount of cars that you end up with. Okay. And then the Iran and Syria maps go in play then, do they? Right. So Iran now becomes still the special case, and it's still fair, but you can see it's now got access to weapons of mass destruction. And also there's an event that can turn it into an actual Muslim country, a Sunni Muslim country. So that goes in there. And then Syria, where's Syria? Right, Syria's at poor, so that'll not change. So you can see Syria is, it turns Shia mix as well. So it becomes a Shia mix Muslim country, but also has access to weapons of mass destruction. There's nothing on the back of that, it doesn't do anything. So it just replaces that, but that'll still be poor adversary. And that's that. Right, off map forces. Right, place 3 WMDs in the respective spaces in Syria and Iran. 2 in Syria and 1 in Iran. It says if more than 6 WMDs are required because some have already been made available from the CTR countries, which they have. We've got 4 in the available plots. So now we're going to add another 3. So that is going to be more than 6. But it does say use the extra provided in the Awakening expansion. Right, so I'm assuming they just go in there then. So WMD. What do I need? 3 of them, don't I? 1, 2. There's plenty of them here anyway. So what was it? 1. It's 2 for Syria. So yeah, I guess they just go in here, don't they? And then 1 for Iran. There's not a separate sort of box, but I mean, remember this was an expansion that's placed on the the main map board. So right, that's almost that. Well, I think that is it. What does it say? The final bullet says, Iran can be the subject of a regime change any time it is a regular Muslim country and is Islamist rule, and the US complies with the restrictions in 15.2.2.1. Yeah, that's when Iran's flipped over to its Muslim countryside. Okay, I think that's all we need. So there wasn't much added there at all, to be honest. Now, I suppose I should also look at the rules that from the beginning, what you would do if you were playing the Awakening. Does it tell you sort of how to set up, or is this all we need to know? Like, I'm not placed. Well, I know this gets placed. This is our end of turn marker. It's got polarization on the back, and that's meant to replace this, which might be a bit easier to read. However, there's 2 of these, whether that's, it's a 2-player game, Grant, so there's 2 of these. So I'll keep this one a wee bit handier, and we can look at that at end of turn. Slightly different procedure you go through, because there's some new things involved. I think that's it. I mean, I read through the rules for our Awakening stuff recently, so I should have some idea of what we're doing. But we'll obviously be going over the rules a bit more carefully now when things happen, because of the extra things that are going to go on. Okay, right, that's the setup, I think. So now we're back to this card, and it was playable, and we want to draw 2 cards. So that's the step we're at, draw 2 cards, and we've had to go through all this procedure to do that. Yeah, now this is my problem, because I want to say that when you draw cards to their deck, now they've still got 2 cards left here, and by the way, this is just the first card play of the phase. Still got 2 cards left, but I want to say when you draw another card, it would generally just get put on top. Now, I'm not sure if this matters in this case or not, but I suppose when I was thinking off camera, I was thinking, because these are a new deck, maybe they should go in the bottom. But I'm really not going to find. I very much doubt if I start looking BGG and whatever, that I'm going to find something that tells me that yeah, here we are, and this is Awakening rules. This is in rule 12. So for the new bot, 12.2, deal jihadist in US hands normally. Keep the jihadist hand face down in the stack. Always play, remove, or add cards from or to the top of the stack. So, right there in the rules, it's telling me that these 2 cards are going on top, one at a time. Now, whether it matters or not, I don't know. I like I say, when I was off camera, I sort of felt maybe I should override that and put them down the bottom so that we go through these cards first, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just play it as the rules are written and put them both on top. I don't know. I guess there's nothing to say. Surely it would say that if you were in this position, that you would do it differently. So I'm going to go with that then. So we're going to draw 2 cards. So one at a time. That one's going to go there. Like you say, they've got new different backs. And they go in the top. So now there's 4 cards in there. The top 2 are Awakening cards, and the bottom 2, I don't know. I mean, hopefully this will not make a mess of things, and we'll just get moved on, get rid of the base cards shortly, and then get moved on. But I don't know, maybe some of you would have thought it would have been better to put these below. Whether it matters or not, I don't know. But that's what it says in the rules, so let's just do it that way, okay? And somebody can point me to where it maybe says somewhere that's been clarified that you would put these in the bottom in this case, but if that comes about, then fair enough, we've done a little blunder there, but just following the rulebook, so what can you do there? Draw 2 cards, right, done that. -2 prestige, okay, so we take a hit to our prestige, down to 5, and then finally shift an ally to neutral, and this card's getting removed, right, and I want to say, I'm thinking it was going to be Yemen, wasn't it? Because we looked through this before. So we know, without going back to the rules, because we previously looked it up, that we prioritise this on the jihad column. And of course the jihad only has a table, but it does specifically say the jihad priorities table. So, and we're selecting, we're shifting an ally to neutral, so we're doing an alignment change, so it's not a jihad. Pakistan, it needs to be an ally. Pakistan is not an ally. The next one down is Baziz regime, which is where it targeted first, and we've done this already just recently, and it was Somalia, which went from ally. There is another Baziz regime in Central Asia, but it's already at neutral, so that can't apply, so we have to move on. Next one, these are, and right now, hang on though, you're now in the expansions, so the expansion symbol that you can see down the bottom here, that one's a base game. This is a new one that's kicking in. We're still going to ignore this third one, which is the Forever War. But the one with the 2 sort of crosses is relevant now. So, Syria, yeah, and that's got the 2 crosses. So Syria and less no Arsenal. Well, you can see Syria's adversary. So, that's not good. Okay, moving on. That in Iran doesn't apply because that's Forever War. With aid, yeah, and that's where it comes to Yemen. Yeah, because Yemen's the only country with aid, and it happens to be ally, so we're going to shift that to neutral. Okay. That's our card complete. And I mean, the good thing about all of that is they never moved another cell into Iraq, and they never tried a major jihad. However, they drew 2 more cards, so... And remember, if these are US cards, that's probably worse for us. So, right, well, that was our first card play. So now I've got this uncomfortable moment where I'm going to draw this and leave the other cards. I feel like maybe I should be overriding this, but is it a big deal? Well, I don't know. We shall see. Right, so their second card draw. So this is our first Awakening card. Is a jihadist card, so... Oh, you know what I've not done? I've not got the events, because these events... Well, mind you, we're not finished with the cards completely yet. These events weren't in the book. Well, apparently, did I comment on this, that it was either Jean or Tim? I think it was Jean. Yeah, it was him, because he brought me to the link. There's a file on GMT's website that shows the events for Awakening, but he had these events in his book, so it must have been a different edition in the book. The rules he got was in, whether it was his playbook or whatever. Let me see if I'll just be putting them on my tablet, I guess. Okay, so nice one. So I've downloaded it. I've just got it on my tablet. I'm not going to print it out. Well, I might do that in the future. So you see Labyrinth Awakening event card background by Trevor Bender. And it's going to go through all the 120 new event cards. Yeah, which I was surprised went in the book because he put so much work in the Forever War ones. I thought that was a bit odd, but apparently it's maybe something that got missed out the first printing of it or something, and maybe they didn't have time to add it or something like that. Right, so... This is card 184, and I think it's right for the top says play if US soft, and we are. So, like I say, the good thing is that it's not They're not playing this for ops, but I don't know what they're doing, so let's have a look. So, sequestration. I think that's how you pronounce that. Right, play if US soft. Well, we are. US player selects, reveals, and draws a card from the discard pile. Must be Obama doctrine if available. Remove 3 troops from the track first to off-map box. Return them to the track immediately upon the play of Congress acts, or if a WMD is resolved, or at the end of a draw phase in which a 3-resource country is Islamist rule. Okay, welcome to Labyrinth, the Awakening. Okay, there's a lot going on there. So let's first of all look at card 184 from the bot's point of view and see if right, we're on the other side now. Right, there's no comment to that. There's nothing in the event instructions. Well, there is if it was the US bot. It says if no Obama doctrine, draw Congress Act, else highest ops US associated randomly. Right, but that's not relevant. So there's nothing to add to this. So US player selects, reveals, and draws a card from the discard pile. Must be Obama doctrine if available. Oh my. This is a horrible card to start with, isn't it? I mean, I can't draw Obama doctrine. Well, I'm saying I can't because I'm assuming it's an Awakening card. We've no cards in the disc pile for the Awakening deck. This player selects, reveals, and draws a card from the discard pile. So, I mean, this is good. Obviously, unless it was Obama doctrine was there, because I would have to pick that. But I don't know, that might be good as well. Remove, right, so I think that's a benefit to us then. What is Obama doctrine then? Does it not have a list of the events with the instructions? No, it doesn't, does it? I mean, these are just the event descriptions of what's going on, aren't they? Hang on a second. Now, the events are listed there, but it doesn't tell you what's on them, what's on the cards. Obama Doctrine, it's card 143. It's a US card, obviously. I want to say it comes up in the rules somewhere, and I want to say it allows you to go and what's that? Where's it in the rules? Well, it must be in the first few pages, Grant. Let me see if I can find something on that. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know why I'm looking for this, but I'm just being Grant, I guess. Here's an example. This is the bottom of page, page 7. And it talks about laundry card lists. Certain cards, such as the Obama Doctrine, allow a player to choose more than one item from a list. In these cases, the choices must all be different. Example, when playing the Obama Doctrine card, the US player could not choose to increase prestige by +1 twice, nor draw 2 different cards from the discard pile, as these are not different choices on the laundry list. So my guess is you might be able to do your prestige by 1 and then also retrieve a card from the discard pile or something like that. Anyway, that card's not available to us. So, but it's still playable. There's nothing to stop this from happening. Now, we've already found in the rules that big pile of discard piles at the back there are all accessible. We can look through them and find a card. I'll tell you what, this could be really good if we can find something to save ourselves. I'm trying to think what that might be, but so US player selects, reveals, and draws a card from the discard pile. Must be Obama Doctrine if available. Well, it's not. Okay, well, we'll do that in a minute, because that's going to take me a bit of time. Let's finish off the rest of this. So it says, which I don't think it matters, I'm going out of order here. Of course, I can read what it's going to do. Unless there's something, new information that comes up. I don't think so. Remove 3 troops from the track first to off-map box. Well, I'll tell you what, that's really bad, isn't it? Right, so these 2 that we put back and another 1 are coming off the track and into the off-map box. Reducing us to 4 cells up there now, so we cannot. And this also moves along into the overstretch. Which now does not allow us to do a regime change from dragging 6 troops off the track at the moment anyway. Now, I'm assuming I can't deploy these back. I'm assuming this is a no-go area, but off-map box. I mean, it says off-map box, so I don't think I can do anything with it. It does... Well, let's just carry on with the event. Carrying on with the event there, it says... return them to track immediately upon play of Congress acts. Right, well, I'd like to think that when that event comes about, it's going to tell us that. Or if a WMD is resolved, which, to be honest, might not be that far away, that. Or at the end of a draw phase, in which our 3 resource country is Islamist rule. Or at the end of a draw phase. Is a draw phase when we draw new cards? Must be, yeah. Draw phase? That's like... a 3 resource country is Islamist rule. Well, we do have Egypt, which covers that base. Or at the end of a draw phase. I mean, it must be... Where's the sequence of play? Probably I need just the term draw phase there. I mean, I can only assume it's when you're drawing the cards for the turn. I think there is a sequence of play somewhere. Oh, here we go, yeah. So you've got action phases. Because it doesn't... Does it say it up there? Action phase... No. It's the word. It's not so much the word draw. It's just the words draw and phase together. When a card is withdrawn, and I think you're probably just making more of this than you need to, Grant. It must be in the phase where you, in general, action phases, turn ends, new turn begins. Give me a minute. Alright, well, there's no... I searched both documents, the base game and Awakening, for draw phase, and the only reference I'm getting is this and the Awakening rules. So 11.3.4 off-map box. Certain event cards call for the temporary deployment of troops to locations that are off-map. Place these forces on the off-map box and return them to the troops track when conditions are met for their return, usually at the end of the next draw phase. When placing troops off-map, choose troops from the track first. Then, if insufficient forces remain, the US player chooses from those that are on the map until the amount required are off-map. It's got design note. The presence of these troops off-map may cause the US player to draw fewer cards during the next draw phase due to being in a higher category on the troops track. Well, I mean, it clarifies it there. The draw phase is when he's drawing cards for the next turn. Yeah, I think I'm being silly there, really. I don't know. Yes, you're nodding your head. Okay, so the next time we go to draw cards, well, if they've not returned before then, remember, and, right, hang on, was it not? Or at the end of a draw phase in which our 3 resource country is Islamist rule. So, as long as Egypt's still is Islamist rule, when we go to draw our new hand for the next turn, they'll go back. Well, that's good then, because I can't do anything this turn anyway with them. I wasn't able to be, well, unless, of course, I played Tora Bora, but which, to be honest, I might be playing now. It rolls prestige, but we just took a 2 hit on that as well. Okay, we've also got to remember that the WMD, I mean, this is mark and remove. Now there'll be new markers for these as well, won't there? Right, well, I'd rather not mix all these up. So, shouldn't you put these old ones back? Yeah, well, sorry, give me a second. Right, okay, so I brought out the new events these are for the Awakening expansion. So there's a question, you can see it's -3 troops. So we have to mark, and then this card will get removed if played for event, which it was. So I'm going to put this in the events and play box. And I guess that marker will be removed. I mean, it's just signifying what it's doing. Right, we didn't read the text for this. So let's have a quick look at that. Where are we? Here. Sequestration. Though not at the levels seen in the post-Vietnam era, US defence readiness has been reduced due to fiscal realities and budget pressure, and the ability to deploy large combat formations for lengthy periods of time in multiple simultaneous conflicts would be a greater challenge now than in the previous 2 decades. Okay. So that's that. I'll put that over there just now. Leave it alone, rather. Okay, so right, we're getting there. Yeah, I've got that Abu Sayyaf card still out there just to remind me of things. Do I need this left out so I know what? I mean, the WMD bit is a bit I would maybe sort of forget, so I might actually leave the card out. It gets removed from play, as does the Abu Sayyaf card, so both the cards, you wouldn't be able to get these back anyway. Okay, but the bit we've not done yet is we get to pick a card from the discard pile, and that's going to be their turn over now, but they did draw extra cards, Grant, so they've still got 3 cards, haven't they? Yeah, so what could we go and get here to maybe keep the game going? Is there anything? I'm sure some of you out there will know that if there's something that I really, really want to go and get. Remember, we've got access to pretty much, well, 95% of the cards from the base game, probably. Some of them have been removed. I want to say it looks like there's maybe a dozen or so have been removed. The bot still has a couple in his hand. We've still got 3 in our hand, but so there's a lot to choose from. Well, the problem's Iraq. Something that removes cells from Iraq. I don't know. I'm going to have to go through this and study it carefully, I think. What a good idea might be is to just call this apart. And then I will leave these cards here in the play area. Just to remind myself. But they've been, well, everything apart from that bit has been dealt with. That will be their turnover as well. So just coming back to remind ourselves the 3 cards we've got left. Martyrdom Operation, which we don't want to play. This actually could be avoided play. If I play this first, for the event, we'd remove the 2 cells that are in Central Asia, which is the regime change country. Then this becomes unplayable. So just chucking that out there. We put 2 ops in reserves as well. Yeah, I'm looking up there. We've got 2 ops in reserves. What was our plan? I'm not sure. I think it was... Yeah, it was to see... It was to hesitate, I think, wasn't it? It was to hesitate and see what the bot done. The downside to this is rolling prestige. Our prestige is at 5. Remember, the likelihood is it'll probably go down a little bit. I mean, it could go all the way down to 1, to be honest, if we're unlucky. I think we can't really base what we're going to do until we go and look for this discard. This card out of the discard pile. And hopefully I'm going to come back with the next part and say, wow, look what I found. And so that we can live another day. But yeah, I suppose a good time to stop, and we're almost at 50 minutes there. Now, I do have a little bit of time today. I've got a couple of chores though. I think it would probably be better to go and get one of them started. Come back, have another shot, and then get the other one done, and then maybe get another little bit. We'll see. Okay. Well, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable about things. Not that I think I'm going to get through this and we're going to survive, but I still sort of feel like I'm going to just carry on. Whether I just say, well, you know, we've lost. What I'll do is introduce that rule, that optional rule about, you know, so that means if they get the 3 point, they'll get 1 point right away if they score the 6 resources. Then if they manage to get Poor Islamists to 15, they'll get another point. Then if they manage to get a WMD going off in the United States, they'll get another one. But hopefully I can try my hardest to avoid that one. Then they'll only get the 2 points, and then at least we can maybe go through the game and tie the game with them if we can get our 2 successful, whatever it is we need. We need 15 fair and good, and we also need 12 good resources. Well, it's just going to be a real challenge for me anyway. I mean, I've only managed to get one throughout the first deck. I've really struggled. To be honest, we got on much better sorry. Yeah, what was I saying there? Yeah, I think the sort of previous playthrough that ended up being a 1 deck game went much better for us. However, that's when I was making quite a few mistakes. I want to add that most of the mistakes I was making, I think, were not benefiting me. They were well, maybe that's not true. Maybe there was some. I can't recall now. It was quite a while ago now. So, right, okay, I'll leave that there. I'm going to hunt through this discard pile and hopefully come back with a winner. Okay, cheers.